What's up, guys? I'm Jacob. You're watching the Pepper's Bunker Outdoors. We are on the edge, a knife nerd podcast where we're going to talk about brands. It's going to be a little bit, we're going to do some pros and cons. It's going to be a little bit wild. Hey, let me get you guys to introduce yourselves and advertise everything that you do on here. Gabe, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'm Gabriel with the Last Huntsman channel. I also do Instagram. I mainly just do homesteading, knife reviews, gear reviews, and stuff. So just basically a gear junkie.
Good. Danny, you like to go by Danny, right?
Yeah, sometimes. So yeah, I can call me Danny Riskett. Of course, got the YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I didn't know we already started yet, so I kind of need to get my knife talk gear ready. I didn't know we were starting so soon.
We're getting real serious. Oh man.
I'm sorry, I'm not in a truck or in a closet or anything. But yeah, I do a lot of hiking and just general survival stuff. A lot of just being nerd.
Yeah.
With knives and just want to be bushcrafter, all that fun stuff,
Are you going to do a tack voice for us?
My people.
My friends.
Oh, sorry. And before we get started, I gotta take my turkey supplement.
Yeah.
No, the tack. This is a bear mamma jamma.
Your turkey test.
That's right. It gives me the energy to work on my keg.
Yeah, there you go. And Phil, what do you got going on?
So I'm Phil from Canada. Phil's EDC. I have an Instagram account. Avid outdoorsman, grew up in the forest my entire life, northern areas of Canada. Been dabbling in bushcraft lately. Have tested hundreds of different knives, have my own sharpening service, and that's about it so far. So thanks for having me on.
Good.
And Phil, Jacob, not to interrupt you, but I do have this water bottle that is exclusive to my stores, and you can only find it at my. Don't worry about that label. You can only find it in my store, and I have it made here.
Perfect. And America down with China, but it is made in China, right?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up there.
Yeah. So good stuff. Well, I don't want to speak for our guests here, but what I can tell you with confidence is these here are bona fide knife nerds. These are enthusiasts, but these are not just people collecting a bunch of crap for their shelves. These guys go out and they use knives and they've learned what they like and they do not like the hard way. And so I feel confident saying that because I know it from a fact because I've seen it happen.
Ooh, it's getting hot in there being that obnoxious.
Yeah. So and I liked the jack hat. It's a good touch there.
Yeah, I found it on the roadside. I actually have a series on YouTube about finding hats on the roadside.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. So what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about Esee knives and about Tops knives. We're going to talk about our experiences with these brands firsthand. And again, for my viewers, if you're not up to speed, these are going to be, we're all going to be working to be objective, unbiased, and to base our opinions on our firsthand experience. So that getting four guys who actually use their gear and think about their gear, this is going to be a pretty unique discussion here. We're going to start off with Esee. Tops might end up being a little bit spicy, so if you are here for the drama, might wait for that.
Well, hey, and if you can't handle spicy stuff, I can tell you my turkey pills will definitely help with that acid reflux.
Yeah. And for sale exclusively, use your what's your discount coupon on the turkey pills? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you're breaking up there.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of coupons, I do actually have a coupon code for Armistice carry.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you guys. I don't know if you guys ever looked up Armitage carry sheets, but Last Huntsman in all capital letters, you can get an Armitage carry sheet for like 10% off. So
I'll go
nice
ahead.
looking sheet.
I'll put that into the description box. So guys, if you guys have any affiliates, coupons, anything like that, you can let us know during the video or let us know after the video. So in the description box below for my viewers, we're going to have each individual and how you can find them linked. And if they have coupon codes and stuff like that, those will all be listed below each person's little section there. And at the bottom, at the very bottom in the description box, you can support, see how you can support my channel as well and what I do. So
Yep.
we're gonna start off here with Essie. I actually used to be kind of known as a channel for testing and reviewing Essie knives. Let's see, I'm gonna try and actually keep the time here on myself, or I'll just talk for, you know, so long that it will make this not work. So my path started with Becker knives, Becker in Ontario mostly. And so my first Essie was the CR 2.5. This knife went, this knife went everywhere with me. Fantastic little knife in a Yellowhawk custom Kydex sheath. I don't know if everybody here is familiar with Yellowhawk. Doug Wilson, love them. This knife, it's going to be hard again for you to tell, but this thing has seen some serious miles, been through tactical response classes and all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't think of otherwise. And to me, Essie was a real step up in fit and finish, in my opinion, and quality from Becker and from Ontario at the time. You know, it may not look it, but this Hungles 2, up close, underneath the finish, you have a nice finish. You don't have your mill lines. You don't have anything else. I had a few Beckers that were ground unevenly that I was really disappointed with. I've had some issues with some Beckers. I've been very impressed with Essie. I believe was the first person to ever break a Hungles 2. The experience was it's a Jungle Ass 2, actually. I tried to be correct here. It was a brutal experience. 3/16 inch thick, full flat grind or very close to it. 1095, and basically I couldn't break it without extreme mechanical leverage advantage. We were beating on it with a split and maul. I ended up getting a 150-pound rock overhead, smash it into a tree, and then smash it with the rock, as did Justin Vidito, who broke it with me. It actually withstood that, already having the edge ripped a few times. And so Essie was a bit of a game changer for me. I've been reviewing this PR4 for a very long time. You'll actually notice there's still all kinds of ferro rod residue all over it. It was a very popular knife to be borrowed in my fire tactics class. People gravitated to it. It is universal, versatile, easy to use, fun to use, holds an edge well. This is an ancient Essie. This is the old Rat 3 from back before Essie was Essie. It was Rat cutlery. It has the flip point or the sharpened swedge back here, which I actually love. Not the most popular, but really like this knife. I have another SE3 in S35VN. I was actually part of the test group that tested different stainless steels for Essie when they were selecting their steels. I was part of that process. And so to me, Essie represents the gateway drug to nicer knives. I actually think, in my opinion, that they offer one of the best values on the market for a combination of knife quality, fit and finish, quality control, and sheath. I think their sheaths are on average quite good, to include the nylon injection molded sheaths. I mean, they're not the best, but I think they're quite good. I think they're very serviceable. So in my opinion, Essie makes for a great gateway drug. Is Essie perfect? Not necessarily. None of us can be. We have manufacturing restraints and market restraints and issues and everything else. I think the Esee would be the coolest thing on the planet if they replaced 1095 with 8670. But stuff like that ain't going to happen, guys. They're a huge company. They have to have material availability, and 1095 is what you can buy by the ton repeatedly and regularly. And I can recommend Esee universally because I feel if someone says, what brand should I buy? And I say, buy an Esee, that they will go out and they will not get a gimmick for their money. They will get a solid tool designed to work. It will work well and they won't go wrong necessarily. So that is my little spiel. Do we want Gabe next or someone else just fighting to be on the trigger to be the next one to talk here? Gabriel, you're up.
All right.
Oh, wait, Phil, sorry, you're up.
Oh, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, you take it, bud.
Yeah. So
my
story. My story is quite similar. I started off with an Ontario Rat 7 and a Becker BK7.
Yep.
And I just instantly, that was those two were probably my real first hard use knife, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely agree with the statement in regards to it being a gateway knife, because that too is absolutely what I recommend. Now, Essee's being a little bit more pricey. If someone's on a big budget, I don't mind throwing Ontario out there or Becker. But in regards to fit and finish, absolutely. Esee was my first taste of a real quality knife, especially for the money. Mind you, they're a lot more expensive up here. But yeah, like they are just great, simple, no frills, great warranty. I don't mind the nylon molded sheaths. You can mod them, drill extra holes, do whatever you need to do. The only thing, my only gripes is the little nubs do wear out over time and they tend to get loose, but you can sometimes heat those up and kind of refit your knife. And one thing I have to note, I never buy serrated knives, but I bought this one with every intent to use it for a work knife. And if I chose any serrations, for some reason, I love the serrations Esee does. They have those flat spots that don't hang up as much,
Mm-hmm.
and they seem to glide through synthetic materials really well. So, but yeah, that's sorry.
I would have never guessed it.
Yeah. So that's my experience with Esee. I've owned many of them, probably every model over the years. I currently have 4, but I got a couple up at the cottage at the moment, so I can't show them. But yeah,
Good deal.
that's about it for me.
Who's up next?
I'll go ahead and go.
Okay.
All right. So, like, it sounds like everybody else here. I started off with a Becker BK7 when I was still in the Marines. I wanted to just step up from the standard K-bar, so I got the BK7. I liked it quite a bit, but I wanted to kind of make the move upwards. So I ended up going with a SE4 for quite a while too. And that was my first Esee, was an SE4, and I actually posted my video on an SE4 years and years ago. But what I've come to terms with Esee is I think that they're the best knife for the money that you can get. If you have like $100 to $150 and you don't want to have to upgrade it, and that's why I partly would suggest Esee over like a Becker or Ontario, is just because with a Becker or Ontario right out of the box, more often than not, you got to replace the sheath or the scales and all that stuff, versus like an Esee comes pretty good right out of the box. And I don't feel like I have to fix a bunch of stuff with Esee. I can just grab it and use it.
Yep. Daniel.
Yep. All right. So anyway, yeah, I have had a few hard use knives. I mean, I think my first actual, cost wise, hard to use knife was actually probably from Scorpion Knives. I know it sounds like a mall brand, but
I remember
not.
that brand.
Yeah, they're out of England, and it was the Perry blade or the Perryman blade or something like that. Really good, but since gotten rid of that. So I've gone through LT rides and tops, and still love LT, still enjoy tops time to time, all that other stuff. But my first, or should I back up and say, I always see this Esee stuff, and I'm like, okay, it looks good, but nothing really ever brought me in to it. And then my first prop, or not even proper, but my first dipping my toe in the water for Esee was actually the dark timber honey badger, which Peter said is based off of the 6, based off the SE6 with some slight tweaks like a fuller.
Right.
And that was like my first little dip in the water for Esee. And I've modified this one with patinas and handles and sheaths and whatnot. Sorry I can't see that in the background's kind of covering it up, but
it's hard, huh?
Yeah. So we got that. But then actually just recently, a couple weeks ago, I haven't even had a chance to take it out and use it. I was up in Maryland at a knife store and actually grabbed the SE4 and the S35 and this is my first actual Esee. From what I've just played with it a little bit, sitting at the table, I like it. I'm kind of thinking still about replacing the scales because I'm not really a fan of scales that are pretty flat. Like a little more contouring, and this choil, I need to take out the little piece at the end there because it is a little finger biter there. But so far from just holding it and just wave it around the house like a wannabe, it's pretty fun. But hopefully I do plan to get outside and actually use it and put it through some paces pretty soon. So far, no complaints, and really always sells me is always hearing about their warranty.
Yep.
Just pretty much anything goes, and it's pretty much anything.
Well, let's enter our discussion now, and I want to start with the warranty because in most discussions, the warranty would have been 90% of what people would talk about, but we actually have things to say. However, I have noticed that the warranty is a love-hate thing for the Esee crowd because, yes, everybody loves knowing that the warranty is going to be backed, but every time someone posts something about the warranty, often with some pretty stupid questions, if I'm going to be honest, we have people saying that too many people take advantage of Esee's warranty. And what I wanted to mention about that is I believe Esee's warranty has made them more money than it has lost them. People were really butthurt when I broke the Hungless 2, even though that they had recommended that I do it. And saying I was taking advantage of the company, but guaranteed more people watched that video and bought that knife, and for good reason. It's an absolutely brutal video that really does, in my opinion, a pretty good job of demonstrating how freaking hard it is to break that knife, like in the bush, actually doing stuff. And so they will warranty their product. It's hard to find that. I personally believe that Esee revolutionized the market when they did that. And when Esee first started making a name for themselves, everybody was comparing them to Bussy at the time. All over what's the knife form? Blade form, obviously.
Blade form.
Blade form. Everybody is losing their minds over Essees, but for instance, the Hungless, everybody's talking about how it's outperforming these Bussies because the edge is thinner, it has better edge geometry, it's tough enough, and then they're talking about the warranties. It's a well-designed working knife that is away from the gimmicks for the most part, and that is a representation of what Esee continues to be today. It's cool. What do you guys got anything else? Any extra tidbits or discussion points?
I mean, that warranty is a great thing to have, and to know, hey, if something does happen to your blade, and it's not the end of the world, then they got you covered. Definitely I could see people taking advantage of it if they just want to be stupid. But I mean, all in all, it's, as you said, it's a great sales point for them.
I also want to mention, guys, I hear people talking about warranties a lot, especially with little brands that say pop up on Amazon for imported knives. And a warranty in and of itself is worthless. And what I mean by that is, I can tell you that I'm going to sell you my turd and warranty it for life. But if I disappear in a year, that warranty is not going to do you any good. Or if I actually don't honor the warranty, I just secretly screw everybody and don't honor my warranties or hassle people or anything else. What it says on the paper is not where the value is. How the company actually treats its customers is where the value is. And Esee, that's where they excel. I mean, they honor that warranty.
So
Yeah,
I actually had one Essie warranty experience myself, and it wasn't even actually with a knife itself. It was actually with one of their Kydex sheaths. I was in 29 Palms, Death Valley, which I don't know if any of you guys have ever trained there, but I had an Essie 5, and I was out there, and the sheath melted to the knife. So I had to sit there and pry the knife out of the sheath, because it was it was 120 plus degrees there the whole time I was there. So yeah, absolutely disgusting. And the sheath melted to the knife, so I had to break the sheath apart just to get the knife out. And I emailed Essie, and Essie actually was Johnny on the spot and sent me a new sheath, no questions asked about it. So that was kind of my first warranty experience with Essie.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What's great is, with a company like Essie, and not some fly-by-night online company, is where they're based, who their executives are, they've been around a long time, and you can track them down if you need to.
Yep.
Well, they'll actually contact and talk to you as well. I know I've tried to email or talk to other knife companies, and they'll just kind of give you the cold shoulder, kind of like Ontario. I've tried to contact Ontario, and they will never even say a word to me. But if I mention Essie or I email Essie will get back with me. So
Essie's actually even active on social media. Their social media guy is Shane Adams. He's a great guy. And you send Essie a message, especially if it's a warranty message or something like that, but you have a good chance of actually getting a response. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
I think that's really key. And going back to the recommending it for beginners too. I think it certainly makes someone spending, $100 to $150 to $200 on a knife much more comfortable, knowing that there's a cult following as well as an awesome warranty, right?
Yep.
And I mean, since they're a production company and not a custom maker, I mean, if you have that issue, boom, they're going to be able to turn around and take care of that really quick, instead of, okay, send it to me and maybe you'll get it back in 8 months. Whenever I got time.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Well, we're going to turn the tables here a little bit, unless anybody has anything else. And let's talk about tops. I don't have to go first. If one of you guys are burning up to talk about tops, you can go if you like. Anybody?
I can go.
Go for it. I'm gonna start.
So I've had many tops models over the years, many, and I find with such a large company like Tops, and they have such a vast amount of different models, it's certainly a positive that you're gonna find something that caters to your needs. But me personally, for what I do and my applications, I find probably about 75% of the models kind of useless. But again, that's for me. But in using them and testing them over the years, I've narrowed it down to probably about 10 different models. A few I do have on hand now that I do truly love. where I find, like, you know, kind of going back to Essie for 2 seconds, they have a few models and they're all tried, tested, and true. But like the El Shetty, for example, that's probably one of the best, I don't know if you'd say budget, but, you know, more reasonably priced choppers. I mean, it's a big slab of 1/4 inch 1095 with a half decent heat treat. Easy to sharpen. It's just a great tool. But then there's other ones that claim to be, you know, like the Bob, for example, the Tops Bob, Brothers of Bushcraft. You know, it screams bushcraft in every way possible, and I have one. And is it a good knife? Yes, it's a tank. But, you know, the reality is I can find 5 other knives that perform better, in my opinion. And that's just, it's just more, you know, edge geometry, grinds, the traction coating they were putting on some of their older knives. Really, you know, you really notice it if you're splitting wood or carving or batoning. I get that it's to protect the 1095. I get it, but if you're using your stuff frequently and kind of know how to care for your stuff, I don't ever get rust buildup.
Well, the best way to keep rust buildup off of something is to use it.
That's right.
Oh.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go ahead and go. I have a handful of top. Well, actually, I have 4 tops currently right now. I have the silent or the Prather War Bowie, the Light Trekker, and of course the Silent Hero and the Silent Hero 4. So that's kind of my tops collection. I've had many tops over the years, and you know, some of them just kind of comes and goes. My first tops, I guess, fixation was the Silent Hero. The Silent Hero really kind of caught my attention, and I got it, and I ended up having to get a Yellow Hawk Kydex for it just because I liked it so much. I will have to agree with Phil 100%. Most of Topps knives, to me, they kind of look like mall fantasy ninja swords and weird stuff, but they do offer a lot of different models, which I guess is pretty awesome just because you could kind of find whatever you do like. But for me, I think it's about maybe 20% of, you know, what they make is things that I actually find myself liking. And I will say my biggest pet peeve against Topps is usually their sheaths are complete garbage right out of the box. Like the Prather War Bowie, you know, that's almost a $200 knife, and then the sheath is so garbage that you end up having to spend another $70 for a sheath, which then kind of really ruins the value for it, because that now you're kind of getting into, you know, a higher tier price range for a knife.
Yep. All right, McGin Lobster, you got something to add?
Well, yeah, I kind of actually agree there with Gabriel with his assessment of the sheaths. I mean, their sheaths aren't always great. Some of them are really good, like the one that Phil was saying, that with the Silent Hero. I mean, yeah, I've got a Silent Hero, the full size one, and you know, I really like what, you know, they do with the Silent Hero and the how it benefits the what is it, the Rangers in Africa. I mean, that's a cool little thing they do there. But you know, I've got also, you know, the Bob, the Fieldcraft, which, I mean, it's an okay bushcraft knife, but I could never figure out how to get that Shango notch, that little gimmick. I mean, some people works great and then others not, but yeah, so I had to file down the spine to be able to do that, the ferro rod stuff with it. I got the folding Bob, which it's okay. It's definitely heavy for a for a folder. It's heavy, but the lock, I think, leaves something to be desired. I don't know if you've seen Ben over at Living Survival. He was batoning with a folder, but yeah, he ended up slicing up his finger from it. Not saying it's a bad knife, but I mean, he was pushing a lock beyond what you're supposed to do. But still, I mean, it kind of leaves like, okay, well, if it's going to fail there, how else is it going to fail? I also got the 230, or sorry, not 230, the 170, or 130, 170. Yeah, 170 machete here. I really like the style of it, but when I was cleaning out grapevine, it nicked one of the cages for the grapevine, and I got dings all over my edge. And I think that could have been, maybe a little bit better with the heat treat or something there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Actually, I have more tops as well. I've got the Dragonfly or D-Fly in the wife's car in the kit there. I sent a stainless bob overseas to our place there. Also, though, besides these that I currently own, I mean, I've owned some of their kukris, some of their other machetes, but I've always ended up selling them off. And I think the biggest thing for me is their handles. Their handle scales are always just, on pretty much all their blades are just flat. And again, I like the contouring when you get that, the bulges and stuff in it.
It's about the bulges.
That's
Speaking
right.
of handle ergonomics and selling them, one Tops knife that I had quite a while back ago, and I liked the blade. The blade actually performed really well, was the Tex Creek XL. I really liked that knife, but the handles were so slim, and I got kind of relatively small hands compared to most people. But even the handles were so small on that knife, and so I find that most Tops ergonomics are either one extreme or the other, and there's not really very many in betweens on Tops knives as far as their ergonomics and handle sizes.
I found the same thing. I found the exact same thing with the Tex Creek XL. That was one of my first top knives. Love the blade shape. I found the handle way too slim.
Well, I'm going to have to try and talk really fast here if I'm going to get into my 5-minute rule. So, with that being said, Tops of today is not the Tops of yesterday. I don't know if everybody realizes this, but back in about 2009, when Tops sold a knife, they sold it with a working edge, and if you wanted it sharp, you had to pay extra. So, my first experience with Tops, I saw some in a gun shop when I was home after basic training, in between airborne school, something like that. I saw a Tracker and a Steel Eagle, and I thought, those look sick. Down the road, not very far, I purchased a Tops Dart and a Tops Scorpion's Tail. Yes, that's what it was. I have a Tops Dart here now, somewhat similar. I don't have the Rocky Mountain tread pattern, and my Tops Dart was in S30V, which was a very short-lived run for them. It was awful. And it was just a terrible, terrible handle geometry, very thick edge, not sharp even when I got it as a new to the knife hobby guy, pretty much. And the Scorpion's Tail, the Kydex was so bad. I was carrying this in Afghanistan. It fell out while I was running in Afghanistan and chipped the tip off of it. And that really disappointed me. So, but when I purchased my Tops knives again in 2009, I was looking for a custom knife, a more expensive knife that was handmade, but the custom prices back then weren't what they were today. The market was not nearly so saturated as it is today. It wasn't so knife nerd friendly. And so, but they're doing all the special forces, spec ops, advertisements and stuff. Hugely disappointed by the knives. Then they released the MSK, the mini Scandi knife, and they advertised it as having a true 0-degree Scandi edge. So I was trying to sharpen it. I could never get it sharp. lo and behold, no, it never had a true 0-degree Scandi edge. It always had a micro bevel. It had a micro bevel far after people were talking about it, but they're still advertised for like years that it was a true 0-ground Scandi. So I give that background to say that my beginning of knife using with tops was quite negative, actually. So fast forward a little bit, there's a lot of tops designs that I like. I think one of my favorite ones is the Yaker or whatever. There's absolutely no embellishments on the knife to make it look cool or anything. It's thinner. I remembered it having a little bit thinner edge geometry. It looked good. I never bought one, but they came out with the Tannenbuco Puko or whatever. They started coming out with some stuff that I like. But I've still got issues with them. This is the Tops 3-pointer. I'm going to be doing a video about this shortly and sending it to Cedric and Ada over in
Upside Down World.
Yeah. And so this is supposed to be a hunting or skinning knife, and I'm not going to be able to show you edge geometry, sadly, but that edge is just this edge is thick enough to be on a freaking full-size chopper. And so we're not talking about primary edges here, guys. We're talking about micro bevel, the thickness behind the edge here, how far that primary grind comes in before they do a micro bevel. Too doggone thick. And in my opinion, if there are two things that Tops is generally known for, it would be thick edges and square handles. I will also say that I don't mind sometimes having a square handle. I actually don't mind on the Esee Hunglis how square the handle is. It's not ideal. I don't love it. It could be better, but I don't mind it. And I can use this knife all day. And we still have, this is factory Esee scales. It's flat. Compare that to my Tops Machete 170 here. Not looking quite a bit worse than Daniel's there. You might not be able to tell, but it looks like heck. This was my knife for a while. And so I went out and beat it. I need to put a new edge on it. But one thing you should know about a machete, if you're using it on hardwoods and you're using it as a large knife, it has more tendency to deflect. That tendency is exaggerated if your edge is thick or dull. This is a thick edge. And so even though I used this as kind of my poop machete out doing tasks that I didn't want to use other knives for, I stopped using it altogether because the handle geometry is absolutely horrendous in my opinion, just terrible.
Absolutely agree.
Geometry is so thick, but here's my other issue. I have an issue with Tops heat treat. I do. This cut down a couple soft sapwoods. It's 5160. And my edge is dinged. My edge is rolled. It is unacceptable, to be honest. And I'm sorry, but you can't have a guy running a torch doing your heat treat as a company that takes pride in your heat treat. They do differential heat treats and stuff, but in my opinion, we've talked about 1095. The toughness on 1095 is way down compared to other brands. You got something, Daniel? Your damage, yeah.
Oh well, yeah. Just kind of looking at my damage. I mean, it's not terrible, but you know, I would rather, especially for machete, is having it being a little softer on the edge of machete, so you could easily work those out than, you know, getting actual like big chips and chunks knocked out.
But the thing is, if you make it softer, then you can't thin out your edge. I believe that Esee has always had thick edges because they run stuff a little bit too soft. But then if you still damage it, I would prefer, like, if, you know, Essee's knives, I don't get damage on Essee's edges like I do on Tops edges, but I can still, I've done dumb stuff where I hit rocks and stuff. Like, guys, you're gonna have edge damage. I can get it out of an Esee easy. It's still not hard, but they just cut so much better for me. And Esee actually advertises their Rockwell hardness at the edge to be lower than Tops. or at least they used to, but they have thinner edges and they hold up better. And so in my opinion, Tops does do some good knives. Tops does some stuff that I like, but I cannot recommend them universally to a new knife enthusiast. Jake, what knife company should I buy from? I'm not going to say Tops, because you don't need to take a good design and be like, crap, guys, this knife looks boring. What can we add to it to make it sell? Let's put a pot hook on it. Let's put a saw on the back of it. Let's put a giant finger choil here, and let's put some freaking stop it.
Now they're not saws, they're
that sell
notching
because-
grooves.
Sorry.
They're not saws or notching grooves, is what he said.
That's
Well,
right.
and here's the thing is I'm going to upload the video, but I cross grain baton 2 lines where I need them when I'm doing traps, and I pop my notches out.
Mhm.
And I did that with my 0 ground Bear Forest knives, simple Scandi and 52-100, a little 1/8-inch thick knife with a 0 ground Scandi edge. I did that into my scrub oak, which is harder than piss, and I did it deep and had no damage at the apex. Great apex stability, but when I broke that knife, which we'll talk about later, I'm going to upload that video later, the grain structure is perfect. The thing, I batoned it through scrub oak. I cross-grained, batoned it through giant pieces of scrub oak. I beat on the edge. I did all of this stuff. 0 edge deformation at all, because it's a good steel with a good heat treat. And again, a 0 grind. So I don't like saws on knives, because I need to measure out how wide my notch needs to be, and it's going to not be the same as that saw, which means I have to sit there and right, and then I gotta do it again. No, I'm just gonna tap, 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 and then mark my line where I need it on the other side, tap, 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 hit it sideways, pop that chip out, and I'm done.
I've always
Sorry.
like a knife do too many things, then it doesn't do any of them very good at all. Like, to me, I'd rather have a knife that's really great, an axe that's really great, and a saw that's really great, instead of a knife that's substandard at everything, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and guys, again, I think an important note here is that Tops is the gateway drug for a lot of people. You can do so much with the Tops knife if you dedicate yourself to it. A lot of these guys buy trackers. I hate them, but they make them work. They make them work for years. They do crazy stuff with them. They reprofile the edge. They make bows. They bushcraft. They make fires. Does it live up to the advertisement? No, I'm sorry. The tip is not a fine carving tool. Stop lying about the things that your knife can do or cannot do. However, you can make it work. It definitely is a gateway knife for a lot of people. But for me,
And yeah, and me groaning and shaking my head and laughing at the Tops tracker. I mean, that's not a dig from me at Tops, but that's me and the tracker design. I don't care who puts it out. I don't like the tracker design.
well, and we won't talk about Tom Brown himself for a little while here, because that would be for a completely different video. However, I've been kicked off of Bushcraft USA twice for talking about trackers. Just
They work for some people. I don't like them.
They've always been a very controversial knife. I've never personally, I've used them. I have owned one, and I just keep gravitating towards something simple.
yeah, I don't like a broken edge.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
look like some Lord of the Rings orc sword to me, so I'm kind of like, no.
I've always understood the thought behind them.
Yeah.
And, it's a great thought, right? It's almost a small hatchet. You can do your feather sticking and curls with it, because if you pull back and get it right in the notch there. I get the dual grind and the dual edge, but then all of a sudden they're coming out with these small little
3-inch versions of it,
and it completely defeats the purpose of the design unless it's a minimum 7-8 inch. Like, it makes no sense now, so they lost me when they started making small little versions, personally.
Yep. So Daniel might be the only one to remember this. Daniel, do you have one of these?
I do not.
This is the Revelation Blades Workhorse. This is my first knife that I ever designed and marketed. And the idea was what the tracker should be. Did I hit that mark? It's actually pretty good, I'm going to be honest, although the manufacturing was why I separated from them eventually. However, I do like thick, heavy, chunky, short knives, but you will not replicate the chopping performance of a longer knife by going shorter and heavier. Right? You can play with the weight distribution, but you can't play with it as much because of how short it is. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be equivalent. And so, I might need to do this thing again, actually. I'm just going to be honest here. I might actually talk to Garrett at Bear Force Knives and see about maybe doing a couple of these in like a 3/8 inch thick 8670 or something like that. It'd be freaking dumb, and I would love it. But anyways, the concept: do more with less, do more with less space, have more. Guys, all of that extra crap is just like the gun world. It's gimmicks.
Agreed.
So what you're saying is the saw blades and all the extra tops gimmickry is kind of like having offset sights with regular sights and a spare red dot sight and 4 flashlights all on the same AR-15.
And Magpul bad levers and ambi everything, and
yeah,
doggone it. So and guys, this is this is not what I should say. This is too much. But I don't like companies who are designed to cater to low information buyers. And low information buyers are always looking for what is packed with the most gimmicks. And so it used to be much worse. I like where Tops is going. I really do. If they do a Steel Eagle 107 Delta with no saw, I'm going to kind of want it for some kind of weird masochist, like some reason. I don't know. But
and they offer it in stainless. How about that?
they're doing better. They've got thinner edges than they used to. At one point, they said they used to have really thick tips. When they moved over to machining a lot of their knives, they said that they could no longer have such a thick tip because they can't replicate the hand grinds with the machine. Learn to use your machine. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So there's, guys, I just want to see.
Why start now?
Tops is doing better. Tops is doing better. I like a lot of the stuff that they're doing. I like the path that they're talking. Do we need to talk about Mr. Hand, and his background in Australia? Yes, probably. Does that have anything to do with them now? No. So you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
not exactly.
Might have to fill me in there.
Oh man, Michael Fuller, the founder of the company, like being ex-CIA, murdered a bunch of dudes in Australia, collapsed an entire banking empire, stole like gazillions of dollars, then went to the witness protection program in the US and used that money to start Tops Knives or something like that. Like, you guys haven't heard of that?
I have not.
Michael
No.
Hand? Yeah. Well, I'll do a video on it. But I don't know why it's a sensitive topic. but it's a little bit of a sensitive topic.
Hmm.
But anyways, it got weird, but we knew it was gonna get weird, right? You guys, anything? You
Well, I can
guys
make
want
it
to add
weirder.
anything? Any angry remarks? If you by the way, like if you think that I'm absolutely wrong, like use this platform to clarify that. You know, it's
Yeah, I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong for batoning and chopping with a large knife when you should just use an axe, bro.
just use an axe, bro. You know what's funny is how many people are always talking about just use an axe versus how many people I see hiking and carrying an axe. And what else is funny is how many people I see properly using an axe, keeping an edge on an axe, and understanding proper use of an axe. Like you know, let's not get onto this. I don't know.
That's a
It's
big
kind of
sub-
hard to know all those things
big
when you're
subject.
typing on a keyboard, living in an apartment in a big city.
Yeah,
That's
that's the deal.
right.
Well, the guys, it
Yeah.
seems like the guys who have the most to say. We have a. Well, I probably shouldn't talk about this, but we have an arc. Okay, we have this arc of interest. So someone watches Survivor Man or Bear Grylls or Alone or Naked and Afraid, and they're like, I am an effing bad mamma jamma, and I could do that, right? So they start reading all of this stuff about survival and bushcraft, and then they start buying all of this stuff. And from all of their reading, they're like, I'm on this team. I'm on this team. I believe that guy. We're doing this thing. Okay. And they've got all these, they're on the Dunning-Kruger, they're on the wrong side of the Dunning-Kruger spike. And they haven't taken their stuff out for a test yet, but man, do they believe in what they're saying, and they will fight you to the death on the keyboard. But these same people, they completely get out of it in 6 months. They'll never talk about it again. They'll never have taken their first trip, and it's done. It's over. Their passion's moved on. Now it's cigars or anime porn or something.
I'm always getting heat for batoning or using my knives in a abusive way, and I mean it's such a controversial subject, and again it's just purely out of lack of knowledge. You know, you can't always swing an axe. You know, in a real situation, or if you're super cold or tired or it's dark or you're in a small shelter or cabin, it is a hell of a lot more safe to baton, practice and control baton through some wood to make some kindling than it is to be swinging an axe around. Period.
You just got to get good, bro.
Actually, weird story, and I'm going off topic again. This is the original place that my idea for the adventure craft came from, because when I was getting into this and reading all of these rules about people's bushcraft knives, you can't baton it, you can't chop, you can't do this, you can't do that. I was like, if I can't do all of these things anyways, why do I need all that extra metal? If I'm going to use this thing like a dainty little thing, then why have all the extra weight? Why have all the extra metal? Why not just have a much smaller knife that weighs a lot less? And so I was actually designing knives with Ross and Dry Creek Forge way back in the day. I designed a series of Pucos, and the smallest Puco was the knife that was meant to fit with that original thought. And that's what became the adventure craft years and years later. And also, funny story, everybody was like, I kept asking people what they thought about the adventure craft, and my wife, my friends, everybody is like, no, that's freaking dumb. It's too small. Why is it so thin? That's ridiculous. And then I was like, to heck with all of everybody, and made it, and people liked it. So that was a whole thing. But not to go back to Bear Forest knives and that simple, but guys, without doing things that were purposefully stupid, you almost couldn't break his bushcraft knife with a 0 ground edge. I did break the tip, smashing it into wood and tip testing repeatedly a bunch of times. I did break the tip, a very small piece of the tip. But after that, heavy batoning and cross grain batoning, testing the edge stability with cuts where I curve the cut in to put lateral stress on that apex. The cross grain batoning and popping chips out in the cedar, I would pop the chips out. In the scrub oak, I would bang it in. I couldn't pop it out, so I took the baton and smacked it sideways to pop the chips out. No damage. So I stuck it into a log and used all of my strength and had to try 3 times. Bent it way over and had to try 3 times before I got it to break. Still had a useful knife. And again, your zero ground knife has the least support behind the edge if it's an acute edge angle. And a properly made knife will still be able to do this. So you talk about a properly made knife with a micro bevel and a good steel, a good heat treat, like you're not going to break the thing unless you have built up stress fractures over years of use, which is why you should be using your stuff, because you could have those stress fractures when your knife is new and not know it until you actually need it. So like, don't take your favorite knife that you want at the end of the world, buy it brand new and put it on the shelf. The thing could have defects in it. I don't care who made it. It could have defects in it. Go use it and make sure it doesn't have defects in it. Get to know it. You're going to be a lot better off. But I've gone way off here.
Well, you know what knife would not have any defects is my Wood Blaster 3000.
Yeah.
I've got these limited to only 50 units, and you can buy them exclusively on my store.
Are those $300, $500, or $800?
Depends on which option you want to get. If you want a signed box, it's $400. If you want a signed box with a 1 month free of my turkey vitamins, then it's $800.
Can I get it with your bath water? Like, can we get that bath water trickling through the butt cheeks and selling the bath water with the knife?
You're going to have to PM me for that exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Well, guys.
Oh yeah, so I got a question.
Yeah, shoot.
What is 3 things that you would change with Tops and Essie, or what could they do differently? 3 things, just
That's
each
fantastic.
person.
I'd like everybody to answer this. So for me, I'd get rid of 1095 altogether forever. Go with 52-100, 8670, ADC RV2, 1080, 1084. What am I missing, guys? 5160. Did I already say that? I don't know. We can essentially
ADCRV2, 52-100.
Yeah, especially 52-100 in my opinion, and 8670 and 5160. We can essentially maintain edge holding. We still have an easy heat treat, and your 8670, you're looking at over double the toughness, right? So, and it's still an affordable steel. Now, is it as readily available? I don't know, but you know it is at least close. 5160 and 52-100, a leaf spring steel and a ball bearing steel. The industry has it, guys. So we could have vastly improved toughness. I think 52-100 even has superior edge holding. That would be one thing. For Tops, freaking cut your edge thickness way down on everything. You know, with Essie, I don't have a problem with their edge thickness. You know, I don't know that I could think of 3 things to improve with Essie. With Essie, I would say I would change the steel, and if anything, I guess I would get rid of the nylon sheaths if I could afford to, and go with a Kydex. but I think that's the only two things I can think of for Esee, and because they have their flat handles, but their flat handles are more affordable. If you want to buy a more expensive Esee, it's not much more expensive. You can get the 3D contour. I think that's great. I wouldn't even change it. I think it's great to offer the flat scales a little bit cheaper. But yeah, tops, better sheaths, better edge geometry, better steel. I'm going to say better heat treat, and that is probably going to be offensive. So that's 4 things. I went a little bit extra. What about you, Gabe?
Okay, so I'll start with Essie. One, I don't know if everybody would like this, but the like JG series, I got the JG5 here.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of compare it to the SE4. I actually think if they did more models kind of with that styling, I think that would be actually pretty cool. Offer like that 4 with that kind of textured handles and maybe the sharp 90-degree spine and stuff like that.
That would be
I
nice.
think that would be pretty awesome for Essie. But another thing is you mentioned steel, and I actually agree. But at the same time, I think what Essie should do, in my opinion, is offer, like, say they're $10.95 for, like, the $100 range or something, but then have like an Essie Plus series that'll have like an SE4 and CPM 3V or something higher end. And so if you want to get just started into it, then you can grab like a $10.95 Essie. But if you're like a diehard knife collector or something, then you can turn around and say, hey, I want to bump up to the next level and pay, $250 for the CPM 3V Essie.
Yeah.
I think that would be a pretty awesome thing with Essie. For tops, my biggest thing with tops, I will agree, the edge geometry on a lot of them are pretty garbage. I know when I got the Prather War Bowie, I just started off right out of the box, reprofiled the whole edge on it just to give it. Now it performs really great, but before that it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, this is garbage. So the edge geometry is pretty bad with tops. The sheaths, I think the sheaths with tops makes them not a great value. Yeah. And unless if you're just 100% dedicated to it, to me, you can get an Essie for a lot cheaper and, with better value. Because if you're having to spend, kind of like I said earlier, $250 just upgrading a tops to be functional with a sheath, then it kind of ruins the value on a top. So I would say with tops, edge geometry and better steel, Essie, I think they do okay with their $10.95. So I'd offer a $10.95, have a premium series, and maybe offer some of the like sharp 90-degree spines and stuff like that. Maybe even do some sculpted handles.
I gotta say, getting rid of coatings on more models and doing more 90-degree spines, I think would be huge. People have been bugging them about that forever. And I think every model that they offer should be offered with no powder coat and a 90-degree spine.
Yeah.
Well, I know you had mentioned the PR4, which the JG5 actually has like the same kind of style to it. And I think if they offered something similar, like I think it's like a black oxide coating or something.
Love it.
It's just, yeah, I like it too.
Not that I have any left on mine. I want to also mention these are the Knife Connection scales here. At some point, I'm going to do a review on the Knife Connection scales and Kydex offering for Essie knives. I like the stock Essie scales better. And so a lot of people don't like the stock ones because they're too thin and because they're sculpted. A lot of times I won't like sculpted handle scales. I absolutely love the stock PR4 scales. And if I got a PR4 with these scales, I would pay to get the stock Essie ones to replace them with. I love them that much. So I love the idea for the sculpting, the stripping, the spine, the black oxide. I'm totally on board. Daniel, you got any thoughts?
Well, since my experience with Essie is pretty limited, don't have a lot there. But I do agree, just, upping that plastic sheath to Kydex would be nice. And I do plan on, after I use the knife for a little bit, to get some Knife Connection scales to see if that'll, scratch that itch for me a little better.
Absolutely.
So, oh, sorry, Danny.
Oh, then I was going to move on to tops, unless you had something else for my ST comments.
Oh, the only thing I was going to make mention is I have tried the knife connection scales, and I've also tried the Esee like 3D scales that comes stock with some of the Essees. Now, I actually think I like the Esee 3D scales better than I do the knife connection scales because they're not quite as rounded, and so they actually have just a little bit more indexing. And I actually think the texturing on them is a little better, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, look into it. I mean, I haven't started using it yet, so
I can probably trade you if you want, because I'm going to break an SE3. I think they're the same scales. So since I'm going to break the knife anyways, if you want, you can hit me up and swap them.
Right on. And then when it comes to
tops, yep.
Yeah, then when it comes to tops, of course, I got more experience with them. I would say that, probably work on the handles a little bit more, and actually they probably need to shrink their catalog. I hate to say it. I mean, there's definitely almost something out there for everybody, but if they can shrink their catalog, then they can spend more time perfecting what they have instead of just trying to get so many models out there. Spend more time with how they do each blade, and maybe that, the handle quality will go up, the geometry of the edge will go up, the heat treat quality will go up. I mean, they're not bad, but they could be better if they probably slim their catalog and spend more time.
Phil?
Yeah, so I mean, I think combined with with our combined experience, I think it's going to be hard to pick out different things. But again, in regards to top sheaths, right? So you have your classic, very awkward, and then their Kydex, which I find is sad because they do it quite well. Any tops knife I have with a Kydex sheath, it works great. I can't complain. None of them have rattle. Their clips, not so good. But I agree with the quality over quantity. And shrinking the catalog. I really, really agree with that. If they did concentrate on a few of their flagship models, I think they could really, really improve. And again, I have to say edge geometry. I have some. I've had to reprofile all my tops knives. Period. Like I'm not gonna lie. Even El Shetty, I've had to completely reprofile. I usually put a micro convex on most of mine. I find it holds up quite well with hard use. And that's and the coatings. Some I have with the traction coating or the powder coat. Others I have with that grayish. I don't even know. I think it's called a acid rain. I believe they call it. This doesn't hold up at all with any type of weather. Again, use your stuff and you don't really have to worry too much about corrosion. But and in regards to Essie, I really like the idea of keeping them 1095, but putting a high-end class that you could buy with maybe a couple different, super steels, if you will. I'd love to see something in 3V. I love 8670 as well. But yeah. Also, same thing with Essie, the coatings. I'd much rather see, I think I got a Benchmade in here actually for an example. Instead of the powder coat, I'd rather see more of the DLC, the Cerakote or the DLC. I just find it just performs better. It doesn't hold the dirt. I'm not picking wood chips out of it. And that's pretty much it for me.
Well, guys, I want to wrap up on a general concept, and this is just me, and this is what I'm constantly pushing on my channel. And what made me think of it is the something for everyone statement on tops there is something to be said about having a product for everyone, but do we really need trans unicorn spear? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, do we need to have a freaking, I think it's kind of sometimes disingenuous to sell products to people that they want when what they want is dumb. Like, and what I mean is, Jake, can I get a sawback on that? I'm going to take the time to say no, and let me tell you why. And let's try to raise the experience level. Let's try and talk about training and using your blades. Because if the entire industry is encouraged to become more educated, then we won't have so many people wanting potentially silly things. Let's
The silly things.
there. What we got?
There is absolutely nothing silly about my sword with a bow drill divot.
Yeah. Is that a cast Siberia?
No, this is, oh gosh, who is this? I want to say this is one of the Angus trims.
Yeah, it's the Angus trim gladius, it looks like, or like two-handed gladius.
I think this is the broadsword, the hand and half
Okay.
broadsword.
I love it. Well, let me just say also, I want to clarify what I said earlier. Let's say that there's a difference also in how you market, right? So market something for fun, have something for everybody, but in your marketing, this is for fun, right? But if you make your thing for everybody,
Oh, we lost your audio.
Uh-oh, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, marketing is important. So I said to like bring the level of whatever up, but we don't need to have, okay. If it's a silly knife, that's completely okay, but market it as such. This thing is for fun, right? That's completely fine. It's when you take a dumb design and you're like, you can survive anywhere. You're going to make it through the zombie apocalypse. Yeah, this is going to make your penis 10 times larger. You will have a better life and stronger children. That's when we're like, there's an issue.
Hey, let me tell you why there's an issue. Because I think with this podcast, you need to, well, damn, this isn't going to work. This says stop it. And this is my official legal form that says stop it right now.
Yeah.
Your future prodigy will thank you for buying this knife.
Right. Good stuff, guys. Well, I appreciate all of you. I would love to do this again, to do this more often. Guys, let's hit like all of the brands. You know, I think it was pretty good keeping it at 2 brands. Maybe we'll keep it with one neutral brand and one possibly spicy brand. All in all, it was a good time, guys, and I definitely appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
You bet.
Thank you for having us.
Now, the one thing I will mention is when I'm gonna do something spicy, I should try to get one person that we know that really loves the brand, so that we can get some sparks.
Speaking of spicy, join my collective for some spicy content.
Ooh, OnlyFans. All right, guys. Thanks again.